Hello, everybody, and welcome to 2020 and Bloody Good Horror. My name's Eric. I'll be your host for this evening, where we will be reviewing Rob Zombie's Three from Hell, because we figured why not kick off this nightmare election year with just the most nihilistic movie possible. So here we are. Joining me tonight, first up, he's from Chicago. He drinks beer. Please welcome Joe.
When Iran starts dropping the bombs and the city I live in is annihilated, I want this to be my last will and testament.
Yeah.
Three from hell.
Yeah, exactly. Next up on the show from Indiana, please welcome Casey.
Hello.
And finally tonight from Manhattan, New York City, VP of Business. College John was VP of a different kind of business, but maybe we'll get to that later. Please welcome John Schnars to the show.
Hello, Eric.
Big boys using elbows and ass tonight. I like it.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Quick disclaimer here off the top. I am sick. I'm gonna ride the cough button here tonight, guys, but I make no promises.
Do we want to talk about your marriage being on the rocks like, and other disclaimers, or do
Listen.
you think we're good?
It's all good.
Ooh,
John. I need silence to record a room tone, okay, John?
You think after 12 years, Laura would know you're a
This is a
podcaster?
professional podcast.
God bless her, because Leslie literally would come up and punch me in the face if I ever said that to her.
Well, listen, she was messing with me, so she got me back. So there we go.
I didn't even hear exactly what was said, but I could see on Eric's face, which it made my day.
There we
so.
go. Anyway,
I do remember like when I used to record medical conferences and we would do like interviews with doctors. I remember like the audio tech guys, like room silence was the most important thing of the day, and they would give you death stares if you like dared scratch your crotch while they were trying to get tone.
because
Which you did.
Not to get too technical, Joe, but you use the tone to it reads the tone, and then that's how you take it out of the rest of the show when everybody's talking, and it knows what that frequency is. Okay.
Yeah, but you know the chances of Joe scratching his crotch during the show is high, so why not get that captured beforehand?
We should just get every ambient sound. You're right. That's actually a pretty good idea. We'll just have a Foley artist follow Joe around all day.
Get the sound of me laughing like a mental patient when you try to explain that to me, like I give a fuck.
Hi. Could you record Joe singing every hit from 1970 until 2004, please? Just in case I need to remove it. That's not how that works, but that would be funny.
It's good. Good energy. Good energy for 2020.
Jojo,
You betcha.
What's going on, man?
let's do it, buddy. What are we drinking tonight?
Beer guts.
Beer out well in advance of the show.
Start again.
What? What
You
just
don't.
happened?
We don't talk over the bumpers.
You didn't
Remember?
wait for the point. You gotta wait
Yes.
for the point, Joe.
I just.
I
said
swear
it
to
in
God,
the
how many
chat.
times have we done this? I've never noticed the point.
Okay. I know we've been gone for a couple weeks, Joe, but
I'll be honest. This is why CC doesn't show up anymore. Three from hell. Happy little ditty from our good friend Rob Zombie. And I picked a beer from a brewery out not close to our boy Casey, but in the same state there. This is Devil's Cup from the good folks out there at 18th Street Brewery. That's in Hammond, Indiana, which, you know, I'm sure a lot of people used to vacation in the summers and whatnot. Enjoy the beautiful sights of Hammond. So this is a pale ale, which, you know, you've heard me talk about IPAs a lot, and a handful of pale ales as well. But whereas IPAs are really hop forward and kind of in your face, this one's a little more balanced with the bitterness, sort of that tropical hop flavor too. But you get a little bit of the malt in there, not as sort of over the top and blowing out your taste buds. Comes at 6.6% alcohol.
There you go.
You get that?
Ooh, really landed it there.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. They went. I wonder how. I bet that's a lie. It's gotta
Yeah.
be. How do you like? Let's
6.3.
specifically do this. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Mhm.
Whatever. I don't want to call them out. 18th Street. If you've never heard of them, they are extremely popular in the Midwest here and get a lot of really well-deserved attention because everything they put out is great. So I definitely recommend them if you are around here. I don't know off the top of my head how far they distribute, but I know you can definitely get it in Illinois, obviously Indiana, and if you get a chance, check out the brewery too and stop by because it's a real fun place. 18thstreetbrewery.com is their website, and there you go.
Wait,
2020.
Joe,
We're
have
off.
you've been to Hammond?
Yeah, obviously, John.
I didn't. Listen. I thought that was a Joe bit. I don't know. I can't tell the Joe
Never
bit.
been? John,
It's like
John,
right on the border.
I
Oh.
remember.
John, are you
when I
trying
was
to
a
say
kid-
that you can never tell when Joe's being serious? Because I've been saying this for years
John,
now.
when I was a kid, the moment school got out, I would be begging my mom, "Please, can we go to Hammond, Indiana? Just for a week or two. I don't care. Just I need some Hammond in my life, Ma. Please."
God,
Yeah.
I
It's
can't believe
like-
we took 2 weeks off and I missed this.
Yeah.
Hammond,
It's so
Indiana,
rough.
Hammond, Indiana is great. It's like a slightly less violent Gary.
I remember my parents saying, "But Joe, we're going to Disney World. Like, don't you want to go to Disney World?" I'm like, "Fuck that, Ma. I want to go to Hammond."
You were 7, so
Yeah, it was angry. But yeah, that's it. I'm done here.
All right, sounds good. Joe, I actually have a quick correction this week for
Oh,
the first ever in BGH history word of the day correction.
Oh,
We
my.
talked to last year ender.
uh-huh.
Your pick was rosé ale. Was that what it was from 21st Amendment?
Spark Ale.
Spark
is the-
ale. Okay, but okay, is that different from the rosé thing?
no, it's a rosé.
Yeah. But
a
anyway,
rosé
there was
drink.
discussion of the gluten content of that, and I was saying that the terminology crafted to reduce gluten made me nervous.
Mm.
So our lovely friend Elisa from 21st
Oh.
Amendment Brewery stopped into the Beer Guts channel to
Oh, I completely missed it.
let us know that it's the same process that 21st Amendment uses.
Interesting. Oh, I didn't see that on Slack. That's great. She's so nice. She's better than the three of you. I'll say that.
It's true.
Like, hands down, my favorite listener. Mostly because she has given me a lot of beer over the last few years. So, kudos to her.
Absolutely.
Don't blame you. Wouldn't hold it against you, Joe.
No, absolutely not.
All right. Thank you for that, Joe. Let's take a quick break here and review 3 from Hell.
Are we breaking? Is that what's? Has there always been a point? I swear to God, I've never noticed a point when I'm supposed to
No,
start.
that it is pretty new. That's like kind of in the last like month and a half.
It's been
Oh.
it's been the last month because can you guys hear my baby crying?
Uh-oh.
Oh boy.
Because I edit the music out now from the live show and I put in
Okay.
better sounding
I-
music.
Well, I think I was out for 3 weeks and only on the year ender, so maybe that's why I've missed this.
We've definitely done it. It's fine. It's not a big deal.
Pretty sure no. I think I'm right, probably. Let's just
I
assume
still,
yes.
I still liked when you made fun of Joe /
Yeah.
pointed it out to him.
I'm,
Yeah.
not, I'm just gonna mute for a minute.
Our whatever like 20-month-old our baby for whatever reason like went nuclear tonight when she had to go to bed. It was
Really?
like she's like at that point she's like talking a little bit. She's like obviously like been like walking around and stuff, but she's like at that point where she like realizes like, oh, like I can just not go to bed, you know? And so she's like, wait, fuck you. I'm not going to bed. And just
Yeah.
when she was like legit screaming. And it's funny because the older 2 kids go right to bed. We're like, all right, time to go to bed. And they're like, boom. So
Knock on wood, we have been pretty lucky with Madeline. Like, we just put her in the crib, and sometimes she'll move around, and like she'll even stand up in the crib now and like do her own thing. But it is rare that like she'll cry and like actually make us go back in there. Like,
no, well, Emily was the same way. She was like pretty good for a while. And like literally it's only since in the last like 2 months, she's like I would say she's gotten worse. And it's all like an awareness thing. Like now she like wants to be up and like hanging out with everyone. And
yeah, she gets it. Yeah.
yeah, well, part of it I think is she like thinks that we're all awake. You know, she's like, oh, well, like everybody else is up. Why can't I be up? So we go in and we're like, everyone's going to sleep. Go to sleep now. You know, yeah, good times.
Yeah. Parenting.
Dogs. This is why I wouldn't have a dog, Eric. Just as an FYI. So
What does that mean? Oh, our dogs are fucking assholes. Like, the one will just shake in the morning if she wants to go out. She's like, I know you're sleeping, but I'll just fucking do this until you get up.
well, at least she doesn't bark.
No,
The,
she whines sometimes, but that's it.
No, Eric said the dog barks because the
Oh, yeah.
See, I
You
got
don't-
the opposite problem. Delaney gets up early to go if she has to open Arby's. And so
Mm.
she gets up when I'm getting ready for to work. And then she wants to talk. And usually I'm by myself and it doesn't go well.
No.
Yeah, not a lot of Arby's issues with the 10-month-old.
Yeah. Thankfully.
You know why? Our dogs will bark if someone comes to the door, but it doesn't bother Madeline. You know why, Eric? Noise machine.
Oh. Wait, he isn't a noise machine?
She has a noise machine, Joe. My apartment's fucking 850 square feet.
I disagree. I don't think she does.
Wait, can we get a room tone on this and just keep going? Or, you know, sort of a joke, but also not a joke.
And you can just hear Laura in the room right now with her whispering, "Shh, Daddy's podcasting."
It's fair. That's what should be done.
Oof.
I mean, honestly, if this goes on, I'll just mute and you guys can do the show until she falls asleep. But give me like 5 minutes.
Yeah, do what you gotta do.
Yeah, we're just gonna continue blowing you shit while you're listening.
Are we still live streaming? Should we be live streaming this, or do we want to stop?
Okay, I'll mute.
I mean, I don't care.
But yes,
No, I don't
yes,
care.
yes, we
It's
are.
fun
You
to do.
guys can talk to
Yeah.
Mary. You guys can talk to Mary.
Yeah. So, John, what were you saying about ethnic cleansing?
Oh God. I was all wound up to do this movie.
Yeah. So I signed up for my second marathon for this year, John.
Yeah. So wait, which two are you doing?
I'm doing I did one here like 2 years ago. That's like literally like 10 minutes from my house. And then a month later, I'm doing the Milwaukee one.
A month later?
Yeah. So I wanted to, like, my goal for this year was to do two. And I was looking for one like in October. Like I signed up for Chicago, but I didn't get picked in the lottery. And then I was just poking around and I saw I'm already training for the one here, which is in, what is it, April, I think. And the Milwaukee one actually lines up with my training on a weekend that I was supposed to run 23 miles anyway. So I'm like, oh, well, why don't I just sign up for this? And then like my training run is like 3 miles more and I get a fucking medal. And then I bang out the two I wanted to do this year.
There you go.
All right.
When you just start looking at the ultra marathon shit.
I honestly would love to do like an Ironman, but like I don't have any place I could like swim like to train, so I just don't know if I could.
That's definitely the hardest.
Yeah.
The hardest part. I mean, because you can bike, you know, like.
Yeah, I bike now usually when the summer to my train, which is like 4 miles or so, and like I could do more obviously, but the swimming, like I just don't know where I could do that.
You got to get on that path. What's that path called? The 10 or whatever. Yeah. What was it called?
Well, there's a park near me, and it's actually where the marathon takes place. It is unreal. It's huge. Like the marathon I do, you literally run 13 miles like one direction through the park. Like it's that big that you can just do loops, and then you just kind of double back. Like so that's where I go train. Like I ran 9 miles on Saturday and just like pretty much ran 4.5 one way and then came back. Like it's huge. There's elk. You can see elk if you want.
There's elk in the frickin'.
Yeah, it goes through this town, Elk Grove, and they have like a big like it's enclosed, but it's like huge. So there's just like elk wandering around in there.
Okay, great.
It's a lot of fun.
I feel like I'd be a little terrified of seeing an elk.
It is weird. Like I took some pictures while I was running this past Saturday because I go like super early, and it runs through like it's pretty much a path through the woods. So, and I forgot to charge my headphones, so I was just running in silence. And like it's dead silent, and then like you hear just like stuff like in the woods. Like it's pretty much like just trees and forest to your left and right. So, you know, if anyone's hiding in there and comes out to murder me, like there's nothing you can do.
You're dead. You're real dead. It makes sense.
But I'm gonna look great.
Yeah. No, I mean that was never in doubt. Okay.
When's your second surgery? When does that happen?
I just rescheduled today for March 11th.
Ooh.
So, yeah.
A day that'll live in infamy.
I'm probably gonna have to move it though because I forgot I have a wedding that weekend.
Eesh.
So, yeah. Yeah.
Like how dire is this? Like, are you messing yourself up right now?
No. It's I don't want to say it's well, not what's the word? Like it's preemptive in some way. Like the problem is my shoulder just like comes out of socket every once in a while,
Mm.
and you know, you want that to stop.
Yeah.
That's bad. I went to the doctor and they told me that's bad. So
Hey,
you know.
I don't know how long it's gonna take. Do you guys want to just jump into the review without me?
Yeah, we can do this.
Wait,
All right.
I don't hear anything now. Seems quiet.
It's happening. I can't talk loud right now. So do me a favor, John. If you're gonna lead,
I hear it now.
if you're gonna lead, just intro the word of the day. Make sure to give a pause so I can get the music in there.
All right. So wait, we're coming back out of just the like whatever the main.
We're starting off, so it's word of the day synopsis round
I
table.
really wish I hadn't had a glass of wine, you know.
Sorry.
But here we are.
The
okay,
other option is
we're-
we record tomorrow.
I could do that too. I don't really care.
That might be a problem with me. It's already destroyed one night with the baby.
Let's just do it. We'll just do
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Carry on, and we're recording whenever you're ready.
it. All right. And we're back. We are Eric's taking a little hiatus here at Bloody Good Heart. He got a little too much Rob Zombie in his system, I think. But
I'm
He
really
burned
uncomfortable
through
with
the
the argument.
ditches.
The argument you two just got into when he stormed off. I'm not happy about that. I mean, John, I get it. You're gonna vote for him, and he's our president right now. But like, to force your views and values on other people, it's a bit much. So
all right,
I don't
Joe.
know. I applaud Eric for.
I thought we
for taking a
agreed we
stand.
weren't going to get political on the show here.
Yeah. And I'm not wearing a red hat on the live stream. Sorry.
Thank God. Let's just, you know what? Let's just kick this right to the word of the day. And we're back. Today's word, emetic. Emetic? Emetic. I'm not 100% sure.
Ooh.
Emetic. I think it's emetic. It's an adjective typically used of a substance, means causing vomiting.
Ooh.
You can use this informally to mean nauseating or revolting.
Is that like ipecac? Do you think like that's?
Yeah.
Yes, probably.
Hmm.
Although the em, I don't know. I mean, yeah, it's in there somewhere. It comes to us from the Greek emein or emein, which means to vomit.
Oh, interesting. Does
But
anyone
yeah.
vomit in this movie? I don't remember that.
No, I was sort of like on the verge at several points.
Yeah, it
but-
might make you want to.
No, here you go, Joe. The noun emetic. So an emetic, if you were to use this as a noun, a medicine or other substance which causes vomiting. So
Oh, there you go.
epicac is an emetic.
Have you ever had that? My parents gave me Epicac once, and I'm trying to I look back and I'm like, well, what did I do that I deserved that? Because it wasn't like I wasn't doing anything wrong and like a punishment. Like my mom just like gave it to me, and I'm curious. I always assumed, because when I was a kid, I had like stomach issues and stuff, and like a bunch of other problems. So I always just assumed it was for that, because she would give me like different medicines that she would try. And I just assumed, and like it tastes horrible. Like it tastes like plastic, but it like sticks in your mouth for hours. I still don't know why. And I asked them.
The only thing I know about it is I remember being, I think, in elementary school, and it was one of those like safety videos they would show you where they're like, don't drink poison. And they were like, if you drink poison, this is what you do. And they talked about it. I don't think I've ever even seen it. Like,
Oh, yeah.
no one's ever showed it to me.
Yeah.
I think I learned about it when I earned my Mr. Yuck sticker.
I remember they gave it to me, and then my dad took me to see Little Shop of Horrors in the theater, and I got popcorn, and like the popcorn still tasted like shit because I still like it tastes Epicac.
Are you basically describing a child abuse situation to us
Sounds
right
like
now?
it,
on the
potentially.
show?
Potentially. By the way, I looked it up. A medic is how you say it.
A medic.
A medic. Yeah, it's like you at the beginning.
It's the upside down and backward E, which I guess is I should have known that. Yeah, sorry guys, really word of the day failure here, but otherwise, emetic. Use that with your friends this week. So, 3 from hell. I guess I'm synopsizing, unless anyone else would like to jump in.
Not it.
Yeah. 3 from hell. This is well, good. Let's start here. Did you all realize that there is a name for the film series of which 3 from Hell is the trilogy, of which this is the final part?
Oh,
I was not. What is
Blessedly.
that, John?
It is the Firefly film series.
Yeah,
What?
that makes sense.
Why?
That's their family. The mom's name, wasn't it?
It's
Oh.
Firefly.
baby's last name is Firefly.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yes, it's the surname.
There you go. Oh, look
Nope.
who it is.
Who was that?
It's a
You-
ghostly Eric.
He can't keep himself away. I knew it. So Three from Hell, Rob Zombie directed, wrote, probably cinematography, and I think he did the makeup and all of
Probably
the
editing.
Oh yeah. This was, as we mentioned, it's the third film in the series that began with House of a Thousand Corpses. Devil's Rejects was like 2007. I actually don't have the date in front of me. I should have looked this up. But and here we are, 12 years later, the film that some people were apparently asking for. We bring back all of the major characters. If anyone, or I know you all remember, but if listeners need reminding, Devil's Rejects ends on a sequence with Sid Haig, Bill Moseley, and Sherry Moon Zombie. That's Baby, Otis, and Captain Spaulding
Right.
in a car driving toward a police barricade with, I believe, Freebird playing. Right?
Doesn't the entire song Freebird play, like all 47 minutes of it?
I think so.
Yeah, it's a long credit sequence. But so the implication being that was sort of the end, that they were killed, they went out in a blaze of glory, and so on and so forth. We learn in the very beginning of Three from Hell that they were all saved through the miracles of modern medicine. Modern being, I believe, something like 1984.
I think it was 88, they said. I don't know why that sticks out to me.
All right, we'll go with that. It doesn't feel like the right time. Although I guess they're in jail for a long time, actually, right? Like the principal sort of action of this film takes place something like 4 or 5 years later. So they all survive. They're all in prison. There's all these sort of news sequences that show us sort of what's happened in the intervening time. But essentially, the film picks up with Otis escaping from prison. And then holding hostage the warden of the prison where Baby is in prison. Otis has hooked up with and was helped in his escape by his brother, Warden Virgil Harper, or half brother, I should say. If you were to see them from behind, you wouldn't even know they're different people. He sort of looks like a knockoff version of Bill Moseley's Otis character. Played by character actor Jeff Daniel Phillips. I'm confusing them. Richard Brake plays the half brother. Richard Brake, best known as the Night King, perhaps. I don't know. Is there another role? Anyone?
Well, he was in 31.
He was in 31. He was the star of it.
Yeah, well, when I said best known, I meant like to people who don't watch Rob Zombie movies, but sure.
Yeah, but we're talking Rob Zombie movies.
Yeah, all right. If you saw 31, we apologize, and also he was the main guy in that. But yeah, so you sort of replace this Sid Haig, R.I.P. A lot of people, hopefully listeners know, Sid Haig did pass away pretty recently, actually right after the release of this film. He's in this film for about 5 minutes. He has sort of one scene tying up some of the Captain Spaulding, I don't know, mythos or ramblings. But he's essentially replaced by this Richard Brake character. The long story short is they all get back together, they escape from prison, and then proceed to have just a wild romp of
Hootenanny, I think that's kids would call it.
It's a dark hootenanny. It's a hootenanny mixed with the Juggalo. What's the Gathering? It's one of those.
It's a Fago hootenanny.
There you go. So, and the movie goes to some wacky places. It actually eventually ends in Mexico. Why? I'm not sure. Perhaps we'll get into it. But yeah, it's. For anyone who thought, I like the Devil's Rejects, but I wanted it to have a lower budget and make slightly less sense and also be longer, you are in luck. But yeah, all right. So let's start our roundtable here. Casey, how did you feel about Three from Hell?
All right, so I was a big fan of Devil's Rejects. I was pretty excited about that movie when it ended. I was really into it. I liked it more than A House of a Thousand Corpses. I'll be that guy and say it. Well, man, when they started talking about Three from Hell coming out, my first thought was, how did they survive the Devil's Rejects? And that was what I was most excited about. So when we get to the start of this movie and you see they kind of survived by some happenstance of modern medicine in 1988 or whatever, it's a little disappointing. Beyond that, this movie definitely has problems. You could see it's a project of love coming from Rob Zombie, and it's all done by himself because nobody really wanted to pay him to do it. There's a lot of meandering and kind of wandering around out there. At the same time, I think it's more put together than 31 that we mentioned earlier, as far as Rob Zombie and filmmaking and stuff like that. So from that aspect, I like it better. Otherwise, it was just kind of like, yeah, that's whatever. It's crazy hillbillies and more of the same. And they didn't really reinvent anything, so I was a little disappointed in that aspect.
Joe.
Sure, buddy. I really liked House of a Thousand Corpses. Devil's Rejects, on like we talked about this over email. Like I would put that up there with like maybe top 5 most disliked movies I've ever seen. Like when we goof or talk about not liking Sherry Moon Zombie and her acting skills, like that movie always comes to mind because I think it's like 7 or 8 hours. I forget like what the running time is of like just her screaming in a hotel room. But yeah, it didn't do much for me. So this one I wasn't looking forward to, but you know, I thought it would be kind of a fun watch until I saw that it was an hour and 55 minutes. And I mean, you kind of get what you expect here, right? Like I didn't realize that Sid Haig isn't in this for the entire thing. And like to John's point, who said some really awful things about the way he looked. Like he obviously is, he's on his way out in this. Like if anyone has complaints about like the CGI they used in Star Wars, where they brought like old people back to life by using CGI, like I take a look at this movie and tell me that it would have been better with the Sid Haig like CGI like put up there rather than, you know, this poor guy. But it's kind of split in two, right? Like we get them in the prison and like that whole interaction, and then cut, and I don't think I'm spoiling anything, like they end up down in Mexico, and the first half with the whole prison thing and breaking out and that, like it was almost unwatchable for me. Like it's very much, it reminded me a lot of 31, where it's just them swearing and, you know, trying to act like big boys, and like
citing like weird 40s and 50s film things. Not even
like,
weird,
yeah.
like common ones that I don't know. It just was so
Yeah.
strange.
and
That real timely Humphrey Bogart reference.
yeah.
Yeah.
And like Mosley and Sherry Moon, like trying to make like these prolific statements, like, you know, I am fucking justice and things like that. It's just like it doesn't make any sense, but they're trying to sound like important. Like that completely threw me off. When we finally get down into Mexico and it's a little more relaxed, probably isn't the right word, but like we're just kind of chugging along, I actually didn't hate this movie. And even like I'll go as far as to say I liked Sherry Moon Zombie for the second half of this, because I thought she was a little more pulled back, and there's a lot of interactions with her and a little person where like they're actually kind of having like a heart to heart, and I'm like, this is actually almost enjoyable. So I don't know, I was kind of 50-50 on this, but I don't want to say I liked it, but I liked it a lot more than I thought I was going to.
Yeah.
50-50 is like 1,000 in
Yeah.
Rob Zombie
Sure.
scale. So yeah, we've talked about Rob Zombie numerous times. We for a podcast that has not said many nice things about Rob Zombie, we cover every Rob Zombie movie. So it's
Yeah, span the entire gamut, right?
I think we have covered almost all of them, or certainly many of them. He this movie, I don't know. So I would say I was a very big fan of Devil's Rejects, so much so that I was thinking about it in watching this film, because obviously it brings back all the same characters. I almost don't know how I liked it. Like I need to go back and rewatch it at this point, because I don't know if it was like the time of my life. I do think I have this theory, and I'd have to obviously work this out. Devil's Rejects was 2005, and the 2005 period in horror was
You were a real edgelord back then.
well, no. My point was like it was a very bad time in horror for the most part, right? So when something like that came out, like whether or not I was an edgelord, I desired something that was not being delivered by the sort of mainstream horror community, and Rob Zombie was like the cutting edge. I mean, and that movie, I mean, House of a Thousand Corpses was the real edgelord shit, and then Devil's Rejects kind of like brought that slightly into a more mainstream kind of,
Well, it's
lane. And
Devil's Rejects is like it's like a little more honed. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And just real briefly to your point, like you can't overstate the importance of House of a Thousand Corpses, like to the inflection point of the genre at that time in 2003.
Totally agree. I think what this movie kind of made me think about it, and maybe we talked about this when we covered 31, like the genre has moved on, like has grown up, has evolved. It's not even that it's grown up, it's just like it's blossomed. Like there's so much more diversity. There's so many more venues for filmmakers to express themselves creatively. And Zombie, like he's not getting the most out of that blossoming. Like he himself hasn't moved on
He's making
that much.
Listen, at the end of the day, he's making the same movie every time.
Well, yeah. This, and to Joe's point, so this is what's funny to me, because Joe, in saying that you enjoyed the second part, which I 100% agree with, I think the first part of this movie, I was legit ready to put my own eyes out, and we can talk about all the specifics, but the second part of this movie is way shaggier. It's a lot more of them just like hanging out in Mexico, and like Sherry Moon Zombie has a knife throwing competition with some random Mexican dudes. Like,
As you do.
but for me, like that's like probably the best we're gonna get from him at this point is like this shaggy dog nonsense, not much of a plot.
I mean, John.
but
So
just, like, weird shit happening.
I looked this up because I was curious. He's
yeah.
55 years old.
Oh,
Like he's not
no,
gonna have
I-
like a renaissance, John.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Like, listen,
it's possible.
You can do great things after like any age, right? But like when you think of directors blossoming and like coming into their own, it's not 55-year-olds. It's like 35 year, 40, maybe 45. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
this.
Well,
I don't know.
This
It's-
is I don't know. This is my overall thing, right?
Part of me does wonder, and everybody sort of mentioned this already, but like I do wonder how much Sid Haig meant to the series, and if he had been at not even at full strength, but let's say able to like participate in the full film. I think this probably ends up in a slightly different place. Obviously,
I mean,
they were writing.
he brings a lot of personality to it for sure.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
100%. I mean,
Sure.
of the three of them, I don't want to say he's the best actor. I mean, Bill Moseley is, I actually think, pretty solid. In some ways, and Eric and I were like texting about this a little bit. Like, Bill Moseley, I don't even know if he's a good actor. I just think like he is the Otis character.
He's good at this.
and like
yeah.
yeah, no, well, exactly. Like the Otis character is written for him, or he is Otis, and like there's no, it like feels weird to say that because he's probably like a super nice dude, but
Oh yeah.
the Otis character is like a real scumbag, and he nails it.
I'd like to point out, because we always have to point this out, that he is in a band with Buckethead called the Cornbugs, and it's the weirdest shit you'll ever hear.
And Eric also know from personal experiences in his personal life, he's into birds.
Yes,
Wow.
I did have that weird encounter with him on at Horror on Weekend. Yeah, like I have to preface everything I say about this movie with this. I think I had lower expectations for this than any movie we've ever reviewed. Like, I literally went in thinking this was going to be the worst movie I've ever seen. And by that standard, I think, like, although it's very much what I thought it was going to be, I also was like, okay, like, there's some stuff I'll pick out. Overall in Zombie, though, like, John hit my one point I wanted to make, which was just, like, if it's anything of his I'm going to be interested in these days, it's, like, something in this series. Because I loved House of a Thousand Corpses. Like, I'll always have nostalgia for that because I bought a bootleg copy of that movie like 3 weeks before it came out off of eBay, and then I went to see it in the theater. Like, people clapped when that movie was over. Like, that movie was shelved. It was like almost the trick or treat of the day, in that it was like it was shelved for like a year or something. And so if you were following online horror news, like, it had this mythos like that, and Poughkeepsie Tapes was a similar era thing. Like, nobody wanted to put it out. Like, and then this little company that nobody had ever heard of called Lionsgate came along, bought it from, I think, Universal, put into as many theaters as they could, and it did like pretty decent. And that was like the birth of Zombies, like kind of like cult director status, right? And also, I think that the disappointment you hear in every Rob Zombie review we do is a little bit like because you saw that movie and it was different. It was weird and funky,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh, imagine this style with some refinement. Instead, what we've gotten, and I think like I kind of wish Cece was here. She had to bail last second because of work stuff, but like she is like that unicorn where like I think she still holds out hope for every Rob Zombie movie. So she was really disappointed in this, and I thought that was a kind of an interesting juxtaposition of like your expectations you're bringing in, because I thought it was going to be the worst experience of my entire life, and it turned out it wasn't that bad. I don't know, you know, like on that scale, but. I'm just saying, like, the conversation is over. I think it's been over for a long time, and I think now it's just like every movie he makes, it's another nail in the coffin of the conversation that he's ever going to possibly be better than. Like, this is it. Like, I'm not even sure that I honestly, and this is like maybe a little incendiary, John, but I'm gonna say it anyway.
Oh, good. Please, let's do it.
I don't even really think of him as a filmmaker. Like I think of him as a rich dude who gets bored and like pulls out his crayons and like makes a, you know, and like your kid does a drawing and like, oh, it's cool because they're your kid, and you're like, oh, honey, that's beautiful, but like it's still like a 3-year-old's drawing. You know what I mean? Like
the picture sucks.
Is he that rich though? Like I don't know if he's that rich.
Do you think
I
of
think
like,
he's
money too.
dude,
Have you ever seen his cribs, John?
Yeah, dude, royalties,
no, I haven't.
royalties, touring, like product. Like I'm sure he's rich. Like he's the, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, well, maybe. Yeah,
But like,
alright.
it's not necessarily a bad thing. But I think horror fans in general would save ourselves a lot of grief and headaches. I mean, listen, this doesn't affect me at all because I gave up on this shit years ago. But I still see a lot of like consternation when his movies come out, and it's like, this is it, man. What you see is what you get, and that people might be into it, and I'm not going to judge. That is what it is. Like, what I will say about this movie, while the dialogue is still very much like what a 16-year-old might think is like edgy, it's way less, I think, like horrendously over the top, obscene as like something like Halloween 2, which is just like in 31, like those movies are like almost unwatchable just because of the dialogue. Well, I think there's some like he has this gross tendency. Like his favorite thing in this series is like Otis threatening sexual violence on people. I'm not sure that we ever. There's some stuff in Devil's Rejects that's pretty much like there, but like there's just, remember the scene with the gun? It's like a whole thing, but like he does it again here. There's clearly a thing Zombie has, but it's like it's muted enough in this movie where I think it's a little more. I found it anyway a little more palatable. Again, it might be partially like you build these things up in your head. You know what I mean? Like it's like I've seen a movie once or twice, and you just kind of build the memory up because we just rag on Rob Zombie so much. So like who can tell? But the place I differ, so I found this more watchable than I thought it was going to be for a lot of it, only because, again, like expectations game. Where I differ from you guys is I actually like the first half better because I felt like the first half had like direction and momentum. Like there's a plot happening in the first half, and that is they are in jail. Otis escapes. He wants to get baby out. And I actually thought there's some like pretty decent tension in that section. I like this stuff with like Dee Wallace Stone is kind of like the hardened lady prison guard who like hates baby and wants her dad,
but also
and, like,
wants to have relations with her.
Well,
Just lick her lips around her, I think was really one.
John, would it surprise you to find out that Rob Zombie's a fan of like 70s women prison films? Like it's literally his whole aesthetic.
It's fair.
But yeah, but like I like this. Again, like at the end of the day, you want to like broadly paint this thing, and it's like it's basically he's trying to make Natural Born Killers with like 30% of the talent of like an Oliver Stone. And that includes all the actors.
And like 30, not even 30% of the budget. This was made for $3 million, which is like pretty goddamn small.
Well, listen, Blumhouse could do more at $3 million, but it is what it is.
Well, no, totally agree. That's both like that's both a way to excuse some of its shittiness and also like, you know,
$3 million.
No one wanted to help him make this movie. Just
Did you see it made 10? Like
no. That I don't believe that, because if you look on IMDb, it says it made like 2.5. but then
Oh, really?
Wikipedia says it made 10.
I mean, with the
so
way
I'm like,
with the way
Yeah,
the
but it probably
technology.
made a lot in like the after theatrical market, right? And
Well,
home
that-
video
and
and
that-
stuff. He's got a strong following.
yeah. So basically, it's actually really interesting. This was released as a Fathom event. Like it wasn't
Yeah.
released
Oh,
as a
that is
theatrical
interesting,
thing.
actually.
So,
Yeah. So I here's what my favorite thing in this movie is the music. Like, there is a pretty great retro like synthwave score to this movie that I loved. Like, love it. Like, I wanted to look it up after and listen to it, which I still have to go do. But like, probably my favorite part. I then other than that, I think it's like moments like Clint Howard as the clown performing to try to save his life was fucking like my muse last night. Like that was the one moment in the movie where I felt like I was having pure real enjoyment and not just enjoyment on a sliding Rob Zombie scale. You know what I mean? Like that moment for me like elevated. I think like as John was saying, I love Bill Moseley in this role. I think like whatever we kind of say about Rob Zombie over the years, at the end of the day, as a filmmaker, like Otis is an iconic horror character that I think will be remembered.
Oh yeah.
And I
the
love
problem
it.
is he wants Baby to be the one that everyone remembers.
So I
And
don't
she
listen.
is.
I don't care about like I'm not. I said this over email. I'm more bothered by Sherry Moon when he tries to cast her in dramatic roles. When he tries to make her like Michael Myers' mom, or like make her the lead of a dramatic movie like Lords of Salem. Like that's what I don't want to see. Like I actually was a fan of her in the original House of a Thousand Corpses. It's a very over the top. Like the shtick is her being obnoxious. Like it's part of it. And so you're either gonna truck with it or you're not. And if you
Yeah.
don't like her in the other ones, you won't like her here. I like her in this. I mean, like what?
See, but I actually think she is asked to carry a lot of dialogue.
Well,
I agree with you. If all she's asked to do is kind of like be that kind of crazy baby character,
Well, but
and whoever made the comment about her ability to do stabbings,
she's the best stabber.
Yeah,
she's so good at
she's like an
stabbing.
artist
Yeah.
at
Dude,
stabbing.
that
you know,
scene,
someone, but
I love that scene where she chases the woman down the street, stabs just the crap out, probably the best stabbing in the movie, and then looks up and the old lady just like waves to her. Like that was brilliant.
no, agreed.
But again, to what you were saying earlier, John, don't forget that Sid Haig is gone. So
Yeah.
Sid Haig, in some ways, is equal in scenery chewing abilities to Bill Moseley. So like in past movies, they both would have had screen time and monologues, and now it's basically and this new guy. Like, I will give the credit. I will give this credit to the new guy. He looks like he's really just this person that Zombie found. Like I don't think he has the presence, but I will give him credit for the enthusiasm because like he seems to be excited.
He was the Night King, man.
He seems to be excited. Well, I don't know if you saw my thing in the chat. There were 2 Night Kings, so I'm curious to know which one. They replaced him at some point.
Okay, he's only credited with like 2 or 3 episodes.
So maybe he was the
that
first.
makes
Maybe he
sense.
was the first one.
Yeah.
So I like the first half better because I think it has direction, and everything up until the point when they finally just lose it and kill. I love when Otis shoots the I don't know if it was the warden he shoots, and then he just says, "Oops, my hand slipped." Like that made me laugh. I slipped or something. I don't know, it was funny. But then they kill them all, and there's like an hour left in the movie, and they just like go to Mexico. And
Yeah.
I'll agree with you guys that I think this part, I don't know, this is where the zombies' worst tendencies come out, because this is basically what I would describe as like a hillbilly music video wank fest for like 45 minutes, where they're just like literally.
I love a good wank fest. And if it
Entire-
features hillbillies.
Again,
my
like
my favorite kind of fest.
my
honestly.
least favorite part of Devil's Rejects in this part, like entire 70s songs with slow motion of just like baby. And it's like, it's not the whole
See,
song.
as long as
But
she's not
isn't it-
talking, though, I'm cool with it.
Isn't it adorable though how much Rob Zombie loves his wife?
Yeah, but like I don't need to whatever. But I just think the movie loses all momentum, and then the entire third act is about randomly in the beginning of the movie, Bill Moseley kills Danny Trejo, who's also in prison with him, in order to escape. It's like I don't even remember why the hell he did it. They go to Mexico, and guess what? They get ratted out to like Danny Trejo's gang, who then show up in like lucha masks and guns. The problem with this is like it is good in a sense that it's more action. It's like colorful. Of course, Rob Zombie has a very culturally sensitive view of what Mexico's like. But like, so yeah,
Eric, have you been to Mexico? Come on, I bet he's been there. At
have
least.
you?
Yeah, not
Joe
many
has.
years.
Joe has. He got off a plane. Everybody was wearing masks. It was during the pig flu outbreak or whatever the hell that was.
I'll give you. We talked about this over email, but I did think it was amazing that 50 minutes of this movie takes place in Mexico, and I got to go back and watch, but I don't think there's one word of Spanish actually
No,
spoken.
there is some.
How much?
But like, so the
There are
whole
certain parts where they have two
Two Mexican
Mexicans
people
speaking to
are
each other in English, and I'm like, why the fuck would they be speaking in English to each
I'm
other?
gonna be real with you. I
Joe,
was so
they're
checked
using-
out. I didn't even
They
notice.
have Mexican accents though, Joe.
I don't mind that. I don't mind that. But like, it's just this part is aimless, right? It's theoretically the third part of a trilogy in some way, right? And they spend the first half of the movie building up, or at least the first 20 minutes, in this cheesy fake documentary style that I actually kind of enjoyed.
Well, and
Where
Eric, really quick, the Danny Trejo character is a character in Devil's Rejects.
I
It's
figured,
the same.
I figured,
I was
yeah.
gonna ask, like, they kind of give a nod to like I remember you or something, so I assumed. I don't remember.
I figured.
No,
but
yeah,
it's been
I
like
remember.
it's been years since
The
I've seen
movie
it.
was 14 years ago, so you
Yeah,
are
but
forgiven for
By the
Well,
way,
so,
I
like-
looked it up. Number 18 on the BGH top 25 of that decade.
Just really
There
quick,
you go.
Really quick, Casey, and then I'll get to you. I just want to say that like
That's fine.
my issue is that they spend all this time building up this concept that like they have followers, right? Again, this is like film school, natural born killers. Basically, is the way I would describe this movie. Like they have followers that love them, and like they might as well be saying like Mickey and Mallory, wah. And it's like they. And then it's just like Joe was saying, there's all these soliloquies from them in the beginning about I am justice, and you think they're building up to something, or you think he's trying to say something about culture, because it's a thing we need to talk about, that like these are the protagonists of this movie, and they have zero redeeming qualities, right? And that's like a weird thing about these last two movies in particular. So like the third act to me is aimless. It has nothing to do with the first two acts, whereas like I don't know. And again, it's Rob Zombie's basically like an ADD squirrel, like
Well-
on meth, because that's how he makes movies. It's just like, ooh, pretty thing over here, ooh, pretty thing over here. You know, it's like, but so I understand it's a little crazy for me to expect some type of like plot symmetry, but to me, I don't understand. The third act is so out of left field. It makes no sense
But
to me.
I would argue that it's also fair to expect that after I like Devil's Reject because I felt like it showed growth in Rob Zombie as a filmmaker, because it was actually a little more cohesive as a film, 3-act structure, stuff like that. And that was all kind of thrown to the wayside there to, kind of apply to what you're talking about. Everything that he worked on that I thought he may have grown at in Devil's Rejects was just out the window here.
See, I think this is pretty on par with. This is almost an interesting blend of the two, honestly. Like it's a little more
So-
colorful, like House was, but it's like I don't know.
Yeah, the point on the fact that these two or these three are supposed to be the protagonists in the Devil's Rejects, it was all this like sort of I mean, all of these films, I guess you could argue, are about anti-establishment and sort of you're supposed to root for them because while they're like the most reprehensible humans on earth, like the whole nihilism of it is like everyone's reprehensible, like the system's reprehensible and they're going to destroy the system, so therefore we're like pleased with them. In Devil's Rejects, that was very sort of clearly spelled out by the behavior of the police and the way that like how ruthless or aggressive the police were in trying to sort of deal with them and frankly just like go about their daily lives. Here you don't have that counterbalance, like, and this is even in the like prison stuff, like the Dee Wallace character, I don't know, she was like not nice, I guess, to Baby, but like what
listen,
what did we expect?
These are
like,
vile, disgusting, like rapist murder. You know what I mean? They're not like again, I keep bringing up Natural Born Killers, but it's because he's so clearly aping it in this movie. And like money aside, just look at the script of Natural Born Killers, right? So you've got this Juliette Lewis character. We have a whole vignette, this amazing vignette with Rodney Dangerfield, right, where we learned she was abused as a kid, right? So like there's reasoning for why she might have fallen in with Woody Harrelson, right? Woody Harrelson's a total psycho, but through the whole movie we see these vignettes of them like it's twisted, but they care for each other, right? And so like even though you don't necessarily, I mean, you feel a twinge of something when they die, but the movie earns it. Whereas like This series has spent 3 movies giving you nothing about these people other than the fact that they're violent and foul and disgusting and smelly. Like
Yeah.
there's just like they're
Well,
so
they
disgusting.
care.
But what's weird for me and my cognitive dissonance on it is like it's so clear that Zombie loves them. It's like I don't think he understands that like he's not giving you anything because he's just in love with these
Well,
characters, but he doesn't
No,
like he
I
can't.
think the argument here from the beginning of the, and it's why we were talking a little bit about the fact that it's called the Firefly series. Like, they are family, and they support and believe in each other, and like there are.
Sort
I don't
of.
want to say there's zero redeeming qualities because I actually do. Like, they're loyal to each other, you know.
John,
And
Yeah.
go on.
Well, that's where you see.
I'm
like,
just making the like. I don't agree. I agree with Eric for the most part, just to be clear.
John,
but like,
wait,
I
John,
am
which-
making the, like,
John,
what
which-
Rob Zombie probably thinks in his head.
John, which unjustified murder did you find the most endearing?
Are you an apologist here, John?
Was it
What
when
the-
he was threatening to sexually assault that guy's wife?
I liked when you were saying earlier that the sexual assault wasn't quite as bad here. So
But what I'm
Bro,
saying is he made a comment and then moved on. It wasn't like 10 like said there's a protracted scene in Devil's Rejects
yeah.
where he's not only he's threatening but he's like getting physical with the woman where it's not as bad here.
I would
But,
say
like, the plan-
general. Sorry, go ahead, Casey.
No, well, I was gonna say from what John was saying to split off of that. I can see what he's saying, and yet there was some of that enjoyment for me in Devil's Rejects. These people were family; they stood up for each other. It was wrong, but they stuck together. Richard Brake, when you throw him in there, granted, I know Sid Haig's health wasn't the greatest, but Richard Brake doesn't mix in with that. He doesn't feel like one of them.
Well, he's like the half brother, but there's a
Yeah.
competitive element to it in a way that Sid Haig is he Baby's father?
I
I
think
thought
so.
he just worked at the store. No,
I
don't
no,
know.
I think they end up being.
I think he
related.
was a father.
I mean, the
No,
problem
no,
with
no,
Brake
no,
is
no, no,
he's
no, no, no.
just another-
There was a father character in House of a Thousand Corpses, right? Wasn't that the
Yeah.
father? Then
But I
he-
think
that
think
that
Sid Haig
actor
was related to them in any way.
No, I don't
other
think he
than
was
just-
either. He was just friends. Like he ran the
Yeah.
he in the original he ran like the gas station / weird museum / chicken place, and
Yeah.
he would basically give people wrong directions and send them towards them. That was like it was like a symbiotic thing.
The problem with Brake's character is like he's just like a smaller version of Mosley's, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Although
the-
although I'm sure it's not intentional. There is a funny younger brother vibe where like you know how the younger brother wants to be like the older
Yeah.
brother, but I don't think it's intentional. But it does seem like he's just trying to like he's doing the shtick, you know.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But like when you had Sid Haig in there, like they were 3 distinct characters, so you kind of
Right.
just get lost with those 2, and you're just left with Sherry Moon Zombie. But I mean, to Eric's point, I think this one and why maybe I found it a little more watchable than Devil's Rejects is it's like as crazy as it sounds to say, like it's a little more subdued. Like there's not a lot of like just gross out gore to like make you cringe, right? Like there's
There's some pretty good murders though, but yeah, it doesn't. It's not like as over
I
the
can
top.
see the point. Joe's point though. It is a
there
little toned down.
are, but like I even remember like House of the Thousand Corpses, which I really like. Like there's like extended scenes of like face cutting and things like that, where like you don't really get that. I think there's like a couple throat slashing and stuff in this, but it's
well,
not.
and you got to think too. That was like prime, right around the time of like Saw and Touristas and like all that shit
Sure.
coming out.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. Which is, I mean, kind of my point to Sherry Moon Zombie in this too. Like she's a little more subdued. Like we don't get that crazy over the top. Which, to Eric's credit, like I really enjoyed in House of the Thousand Corpses. Like I thought it got to be a bit much in Devil's Rejects, but like in general, it just felt like everybody's kind of getting old. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
Well, they are. I mean, it's 5 years
Yeah.
later.
I mean,
Sid
that
Haig didn't make it.
You know, that first
Yeah.
movie came out in 2003. That was 17 years
Yeah.
ago,
Well, yeah, it's 14 years between
and it was made.
Rejects
It
and
was
this.
made in
yeah.
like
It's
01 or
like
02
I,
or something.
you know, I think he's a great actor and I love him, but like I was almost relieved that Sid Haig did not make it through this entire thing because I was really nervous when they were doing like that initial interview. Like,
It-
Jesus Christ, like this guy's not doing good,
It
and are they
was-
gonna really drag him around for the next hour?
Yeah, it's honestly, it's like no. I mean, joking aside, it's pretty tough to watch. I think that.
yeah,
that
yeah.
part.
You really feel bad.
Like it
I
is.
mean,
I think it is nice that they give him his like swan song, right? Because he was such a big part of this
Absolutely.
series, and I think it changes. I think it changed all these guys' life in a lot of ways. Like you
Oh,
look
for
at
sure.
Sid
Yeah.
Haig. Sid Haig's a guy who's been a cult actor since the '70s, but I'm sure when he went to conventions after this, like people knew him mostly for, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I
Well,
think
I mean, even when he passed away, you read about like how much he loved like doing those things and like how awesome he was to his fans. So yeah, I mean, I think it's
Yeah.
nice. I guess from what I read, like originally he was supposed to be in the entire movie, and like when his health was fading, like
Yeah.
they had to kind of rewrite it.
And same thing with Mosley. Like I think Mosley, I'm sure, has had like a career out of just like
Sure,
you know
yeah.
indie filmmakers wanting to get him because of that first movie. So you know,
Well, he's in.
Well, he was in Chainsaw too.
Yeah,
right?
Chainsaw 2.
Well,
he's
yeah,
been
no, I
in.
know,
He
but-
had some other stuff, obviously. But
that was a long time ago though.
Sherry Moon Zombie before this was just Rob Zombie's wife, and
Hmm.
now she's Rob Zombie's wife. who's
Wasn't-
in all
wasn't
of
she
Rob
in-
Zombie's terrible?
Wasn't she in a
She
bunch?
was a model, right?
Yeah, wasn't she in a bunch of his '90s music videos, Joe?
Yeah, absolutely. She was in a Thunder Kiss in 1965.
Excuse me, sorry. She had a career before these movies too. You're right.
She was his wife that was in his music videos.
Joe,
I may be the only person that noticed this, but are we to assume that Baby got all those fucking tattoos in prison for 8 months?
oh, I didn't even
Did
notice.
she not have them in the previous film?
I don't
actually
think so.
remember.
I was curious if those are her actual tattoos or like
I
that
was too.
Well, what do you guys think was like? What was the worst moment? Like, what was the most moment where you just like the Rob Zombie eye like gave you the eye rolls? You know what I mean?
There's a scene where the scene where Dee Wallace like comes to the jail cell, and it might be the first time, and looks in on Baby, and then Baby has like it's like a 1-minute monologue.
Mm.
There's
Yeah.
there's a couple points where she is asked to deliver, I don't know, like 30 seconds worth of straight her just monologuing, and it's all bad.
I
It's all bad.
legit wish if you're gonna ape Natural Born Killers, like I kind of wanted. I would have watched a whole movie in that fake documentary style. I don't know why I enjoyed it. It was just so cheesy. Kind of reminded me of oh god, what was that
Well-
found footage thing I made all you guys watch that everybody hated except me? I don't remember.
Poughkeepsie tapes?
No, the last horror movie or something. I don't know, whatever it was. No,
Oh,
it
okay.
wasn't that. It was something else. The last broadcast. That's what it was.
There you go.
Yeah.
But I agree with you though that like that fake documentary shit was good, and from what I was talking about in email, if they would have came out at this movie, because my biggest curiosity was how did they survive the end of Devil's Rejects, and then it was just kind of a wash, and they're like, and they survived and moved on. If they would have kept them as mythological beings and done it in that documentary style, could have been a whole different movie.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
well, listen, Katie, I meant to respond to that because you were talking about it right off the top. The first 15 minutes of this movie is explaining how they survived Devil's Rejects,
survived.
and then also how they got to prison. That stuff just takes way too long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I was actually
There's
fine with
no reason.
the reason
Yeah,
why.
but if you did a whole movie of that, you
Well,
could have stretched it out.
but the
and
pro- the-
given us more
the-
of their exploits without them having to be there.
The problem
yeah, I'm
is
fine with them
the-
being dead and coming back as fucking demons who just start murdering people. That's fine too.
Exactly.
From hell, John?
The,
Three of
pro-
them?
the
Exactly.
problem is that would involve Zombie like focusing on something for more than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like it's clear he just
Yeah.
started doing that documentary. There's like, we're gonna do it different now. Any other most Rob Zombie moments?
To your question, the like kind of initial scene where we meet Richard Brake's character, and it's him and Mosley, and they come across Mosley's broken out, and there's like people now hunting them, like trying to track them
Oh,
down
yeah,
for the road or whatever. And we come in contact with these two, like a married couple that pretty much find them in the woods and have shotguns and are going to bring them in. And like things turn around, and Mosley and Brake are pretty much holding them up now. And like Brake starts to go on this dialogue that was like straight out of 31, where he's like, let me see your titties and things like that. And I'm like,
Oh.
fuck, here we go. Like, this is it.
No,
Like,
well, that was he did that to distract the.
I did.
man
So I
from-
did like the
the whole-
surprise. I did like the surprise gunshot in that scene though.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I'll go with you there,
yeah.
but like the sort of dialogue that was going on there, I'm like, oh fuck. Like,
mean,
this
if
is
this-
it. Like we're jumping right back
Yeah.
in.
If this movie solidifies anything, I think it's that 31 is far and away the worst Rob Zombie movie.
Oh
I
yeah.
was feel I don't like I'm still Devil's Rejects, and like to John's point, I want to go back and rewatch that for the opposite reason to see if like maybe I was too hard on it at the time. Like I know, and I want to go back and listen to the 31 episode. Like that might actually be a good classic. Like I'm curious if I hated it as much, because I look back and I remember not disliking it as much as I do in my head right now. So, but I don't
Yeah.
know.
Joe, nuances
My-
for losers, according to Rob Zombie.
My most eye-rolly Rob Zombie moment may have been part of John's, but it was the whole scene when Dee Wallace was talking to Baby through the slot in the door, and Baby's response to her. And she was making weird voices and doing weird shit with her
Yeah.
mouth on that little screen of space. It's like, oh, come on, just move on.
Yeah.
Anytime Mosley or Zombie like started to have one of their monologues, I was just like, "Ugh, this needs to stop. Like you're just
See,
spouting.
It's interesting because like
Well-
I actually my favorite moments of the original are like all the Otis monologues in the House of
Yeah.
a Thousand Corpses.
But they were like,
I didn't mind any of Otis's monologues. It was when Richard Brake tried to monologue
Well,
that
and
it was like,
it
come
was
on.
also new and more mysterious, and you haven't seen it for
Yeah.
3 movies at that
And-
point.
like I'm not gonna explain this correctly, but like Otis in House of a Thousand Corpses, it was more just like, holy shit, like this guy's crazy. In this, it feels like he's trying to make some sort of statement, and it just like comes off as like the world's shittiest hardcore band.
Well,
like,
though, yeah, I mean the problem is it's coming from Rob Zombie's brain. Like
Yeah.
honestly, he should just
Yeah.
let him write this stuff because I'm sure Bill Moseley has his own like, you know, screeds hidden in his closet somewhere.
and to
About-
John's point,
about
like
birds or...
Yeah.
we've all grown up, like we've all aged, and
Yes.
like he's still doing the
And he
same
hasn't.
shtick.
Joe, that was so succinctly put. Thank you. Like, yeah, none of us are the same age we were when when House of a Thousand Corpses came out. The genre's different. We're all different, and I think that's where we have fun. We poke fun at Rob Zombie. I think for probably good, reasons. But like, the reason why horror fans get so up in a bunch over this is because like we want to see what a mature Rob Zombie filmmaker would be like. I think again, like I said, this movie proves like this is it, bro. Sorry.
I don't know. Like I feel like we've been saying this since Halloween, which
Yeah.
I'm sure we said the exact same thing on the 31
I will
episode.
say that this is just refined enough from that, and I think like also he's not ruining Halloween for me, so I can like
Yeah.
that's why I think I'm so like flip about him now because we're past the Halloween thing. It's whatever.
You've made peace at this
Yeah,
point.
100%. Well, they made good. They saved Halloween, John. So
See, but I feel like there's been a critical revision on the Rob Zombie Halloween movies. I
Well,
almost feel like I have to go watch those again just to make sure they're still as bad as I think.
I
they are.
unfollow those people on Twitter, so I wouldn't know.
I
Really
still
quick.
stand that I kind of enjoyed the first Halloween, Rob Zombie Halloween.
Okay,
The second one
all right,
was
stand by.
not
I'm gonna
good at all.
go. Stand by. I'm gonna go unfollow Casey. Really quick. We'll end on a positive note. Your favorite thing about the movie, John?
The some of the I don't know. I liked some of the stuff going on in Mexico. So the little person actor, and I don't have his name up in front of me now. And I also really like the guy who played Aquarius. He was like the main. He's like the main bad guy. He's on the Sons of Anarchy
Yeah.
spinoff show.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
not seen it, but
Can
that
we-
he's just sweet.
Can we talk about the fact that the little person actor, in his moment of bravery, decides to take on a gang member with like an automatic rifle when he has like a little pea shooter, and like
Yeah.
immediately gets his head blown off? And it's like, dude, what did you think was gonna happen there?
I don't know.
Is-
At least he tried.
Casey, favorite moment?
My favorite moment was probably the warden's mustache.
Yeah,
Ooh.
it's not bad.
It was pretty sweet.
It's just
no,
funny.
I really liked the Clint Howard moment. I thought that sequence was once Clint Howard arrived was just to watch him choose scenery was pretty great.
Yeah.
And that was probably my highlight.
Joe.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, the whole jump to Mexico and why it happens doesn't make any sense, but I did enjoy those scenes down there. And like the final shootout, I actually thought was some of the
Yeah.
best zombie we've seen.
There's some
Like,
decent. There is actually some. I mean, I wouldn't call it amazing, but there's some decent like fight and action choreography
exactly.
in that little last section.
And although I was curious, at what point did Sherry Moon Zombie become like a master archerist? I don't know what the word is. Like
I believe Archer.
she was
He
like
had
full
that-
on just like jumping over cars and like pinpointing like people right in their throat. Like
But she had the headdress, so it had to be true, right?
yes.
I'm with Casey. It's for me. It's Clint Howard by a mile. Like I just like that whole shtick. It makes no sense why he wrote like this.
So
the
many
re-
questions as
The
to why
reason to
that
get them
was-
into that, hit him into that scene makes no sense. But like Bill Moseley telling him to do his act and make him laugh or he dies, and then Clint Howard like just going for it 100%. That
Yeah.
was my favorite moment in this movie.
I mean, it seemed really clear that Rob Zombie's like, "Hey, Clint, you want to come be on this
Yeah.
movie?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure." And he's like, "Okay, we don't know what the fuck to do
Yeah.
with you, but here's a clown costume. Let's go. Just show up over there."
Yeah, 100%. You gotta love Clint Howard. Come on.
Oh yeah.
Seems like a nice guy.
Also, who was Bill Murray's brother dressed like Wilford Brimley? That was pretty weird.
Oh, is that Brian Doyle Murphy?
Yeah,
Murray?
Yeah.
real weird. All right, guys,
Big
there you
fan.
go. We said something positive about a Rob Zombie movie. Hey, 2020, time for a change.
Time for love.
Yeah. All right, guys, let's take a quick break and do some fan mail.
Scream. For the movie Rolling Stone magazine calls a delicious blend of fun and fright that's smashingly scary.
Funny, it was exciting.
It's a scream, baby.
The whole thing was fun.
Never say, I'll be right back.
I'll be right back.
Sensational, terrific entertainment, says the LA Times.
Scream is sexy.
I was screaming at the top of my lungs and laughing hysterically all at the same time.
Scream.
This is great. You have to see it.
Rated R, now playing.
Hi there, I'm Judith O'Day from George Romero's original Night of the Living Dead, and you're listening to Bloody Good Horror.
Send feedback to info@bloodygoodhorror.com or on Twitter using hashtag AskBGH. Join Patreon to get back episodes and much more. Patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror.
And we're back. Joe, I was taking notes earlier when I wasn't able to talk. Do we want to circle back to the fact that your mom gave you Ipecac when you didn't need it?
Well, hold on. It's unclear if he needed it or not.
Are you,
but,
Joe? Are you familiar?
she
Are you familiar with Munchausen syndrome?
I'm curious. Like, there's got to be a use for Ipecac other than making you throw up, right? Like,
I think it's
No.
no. That's it.
fuck, man. I don't
well,
know.
Eric,
like,
I believe this would be Munchausen by proxy.
Right. Well, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That.
I
Do you
don't
know what that
know,
is? Do you know what that is, Joe? That's where your mom makes you sick on purpose.
I got. I don't know. I need to. But why? Like right before my dad and I are going to see Little Shop of Horrors.
Oh, I don't know. That's weird. I don't know.
She was actually trying to punish your dad.
Yeah.
I need to find this out. They were just out here for Christmas.
I mean, we're joking, but I have so many questions right now.
I do too.
Open a
Maybe
bottle of
she was
wine.
just trying to make sure you had room for popcorn.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I didn't throw up though. That's the other weird thing.
That was the test. It was like, is there something wrong with this boy?
Yeah.
Yep. There
She's
is.
like, oh my
Yeah,
god.
maybe the conversation was, oh shit, he evolved. You better take him to see a Little Shop of
Did you-
Horrors.
Yeah, I don't
I
know.
just
To be
picture
fair, like
I picture
I,
Joe like resisting, and he's sitting there shaking, just staring his mom down, like, yeah, check it out.
well, no, like I remember, like I went in the kitchen. I'm like, yeah, sure, like give me it. It's medicine. Like
She's
sure.
probably
Um,
terrified of you afterwards that you didn't throw up.
My like the running joke is like my mom is she occasionally like undercooks chicken and stuff like that, and like I'm colorblind, so I'm just like, yeah, sure, whatever, this is fine.
What the
And
fuck,
like
Joe?
Leslie has been at our house for dinner and been like, I'm not fucking eating that. Like
oh my god.
she won't finish, and then like on the ride home she'll be like, you know that chicken wasn't cooked, right? And I'm like, I don't know, I ate the whole thing. Like
All
so
right.
I think my stomach is like a fucking like iron
Listen,
tank
I know
because
it-
of growing up like this.
I'm not sure I like this layer of the Joe onion that we're uncovering right now, if I'm being honest.
Some things have happened
not
over
gr-
the years,
it's not
but
great.
we should move on.
Hey Joe, I
I'm
think
here for
Joe, I
it.
think we might be wearing the same shirt tonight. We got some black Gildan shirt action going.
Oh
on.
yeah, I meant to mention. Yeah, this is 100% my Eric recommended
Like
t-shirt. I've
like
been wearing actually like the last 3 days have been these.
Just a soft, sensual cotton.
It for like
It's
$5.
incredible.
It is so soft.
It's
Like
incredible.
it's
Uh,
like concerning.
Speaking of different T-shirts, Joe, we got a
Yeah.
sale going on right now.
We do. Well, not right now, but this show I'm assuming will go out on Friday. So if you're listening to this on the date of the release, January 10th through the 12th, all our merch is going to be on sale 35% over at TeePublic. If you go to our website, bloodygoodhorror.com, click on the t-shirt link, you can get everything there. That's CC's new design, which we debuted at the Spooktoberfest. And all of our old stuff is still up there too. Speaking of which, $10 patrons, you guys, or in the next week or so, everyone should have their t-shirts. If you're a new subscriber and you haven't got an email from us asking for your size and everything, just shoot us a note. But I think I've gotten everyone. And like one more housekeeping thing, I've noticed that most people are getting their 5K medals in the mail over the last couple of days. So
Very nice.
I think mine arrived today, actually, Joe.
Nice.
I haven't had a chance to open it yet, though.
Shit's getting done in 2020.
Great. That's great. Thank you for that, Joe.
Thank you.
All right, guys. BloodyGoodHorror.com. Do you guys know Andy?
We've met, yeah.
Yeah.
Andy Helmkamp?
Yep. He's the he's the editor over there. Talk to him every once in a while. He sent us in a missive, John, about what's going on at the website. So here's what's going on. Adam, the space lawyer, has a review of a movie that Joe doesn't think is real called Hagazusa.
Mm-mm.
No.
Not real.
It's on, what's it called?
It's a Shudder.
Shudder
Yep.
joint.
He also has a new In Extremis. That is his column about the legality concerns of horror films. He wrote it about the legality of selling someone a murder house, a la The Grudge.
Oh. We didn't talk about it because it happened over the break, but he also wrote one about Lords of Chaos and that whole the Norwegian prison system, which was like super interesting. So
nice. Yeah. We should say we skipped The Grudge. It got really terrible reviews. We figured we kind of know what that is. It's pretty much, a remake of The Grudge in 2019 is a pretty known quantity. So, and we weren't hearing good things about it, so we skipped it. Also, Luke has a review of The Gallows Act 2. You remember The Gallows, John?
Yeah.
That was you, me, and Sophie.
Brave man.
Mm-hmm.
One of the first ever three first shows.
I think he said he liked it better than the first one.
Oh,
yeah.
Interesting.
So,
I mean, I just remember thinking it was a cool setting, but a bad movie.
Like, was that the one that took place in the high school? Or
they
something?
were like locked in a high school. Yeah, it was like it was ripe for like found footage setups, but just not done very well. All right, guys. First email, info@bloodygoodhorror.com. This comes from Caitlin in Kissimmee. Not to be confused with Caitlin from Richmond. This is Caitlin from Kissimmee. Caitlin's a long time. She says, did the BGH crew give the Black Mirror people the idea for the Black Mirror episode of Miley Cyrus? Because it sounds like they did. I think she might be talking about the rerun, because we talk about the Tupac hologram in the rerun.
Oh, yeah, that was interesting to actually go back and listen to.
Anyway, on the rerun, she says, even though I'm a patron, she says Patreon. I should give you credit for that, Joe. Even though I'm a Patreon, this was such a cool idea. Thanks for keeping horror discussions in the lives of us who don't have someone who wants to talk about horror as much as we do. Thank you, Caitlin. We got a lot of good feedback on, putting out a BGH Classic last week, so that was cool.
Yeah.
Apparently,
great. Those people should become patrons if they're not. And thank you, Caitlin. No,
yes.
Yeah.
No,
I'm just gonna plug in.
Patreon. You need someone
Patreon.
to talk to. Slack.
Did you listen,
sign
John?
Say again?
Did you listen?
Oh, I listened.
Yeah.
It was great.
Joe, any thoughts on how reserved you were? Because it freaked me out when I listened to it. You were like, I almost pictured you wearing like a suit and tie.
I always assumed that, like in the older episodes, I was more of like a spaz, but
No, you're more of a spaz now.
See,
yeah.
I actually think so. I listened, and I had forgotten completely that I wasn't on that episode. I was like, "Oh, I can't wait to hear what I thought about this movie." And then it started. I was like, "Oh, okay, so here we are."
Sick.
No, Joe. It's funny because Joe makes a lot of the same jokes, but like everyone kind of just kept going back then, and now it's like
I
we
do
all
remember
play into it.
like in olden times, I would just kind of mumble them under my breath, and like I remember like our listeners would make comments about it, but like you guys wouldn't hear it like as it was happening. So yeah, maybe it was more that. But I'm really pissed that I didn't make a stabbing cabin in the woods reference during that whole thing.
You've been saving that ever since you.
Yeah, I'm like I was listening to it while I was running over the weekend. I'm like, when am I gonna make this joke? Like, it's just like at some point it's gonna happen. There was a solid "that's what she said" later in the episode though, so I was proud of myself then. Yeah,
right.
I know. Like a lot of people say, like if they could go back in time, they would kill Hitler. And like until I listened to that old episode, that's what I would have done. But now I would go back and make the stabbing cabin joke. my one regret in life.
That's it for email, info@bloodygoodhorror.com. Thank you guys for that. There was we're running long here. Well, actually not, because we took a little break. Joe, I just wanted to tell you that I was watching. We haven't talked about this in a long time, but I was watching the Golden Globes the other night. And right before I turned it off, Brad Pitt wins an award.
Yep.
That guy comes up on stage. Joe, he's more beautiful than ever.
It's just unreal.
I was like uncomfortable looking at him.
Like he doesn't age, or like
it's incredible.
He's so fucking cool too. Like I said, like
Jesus, smoldering.
Although, like at the end, like didn't he make some stupid like go out and be nice to somebody later today or some bullshit?
I
And
mean,
it
he
was
said
like, ugh,
he
like,
said a nice thing,
okay.
if that's what you mean.
Yeah, it's like, all right, boomer. Like he doesn't have like a political statement. He's just like, be nice.
Be
Like everyone
cool.
is, making their
Yeah,
their
he's
whole
like
thing
he's
up
like
there. He's
just be
like,
cool, man. Just be cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just be cool to somebody.
Can I ask a question? And I think Joe is qualified to answer this for several reasons. There was a lot of brouhaha about the fact that Joey King was hit by Patricia Arquette's Golden Globe. Here's my question, because I saw a picture of this.
Why
that
was
someone
Joey
posted.
King even on the Golden Globes? That's what I want to know.
No, well, because she won for that show they were on together.
Did
I
she
guess.
really?
Well, here's my thing. When did Patricia Arquette's cleavage turn into like a fucking freak show?
It was aggressive.
What happened?
You've never seen Lost Highway? Because it's
yeah, no.
wild, Joe.
Yeah, I don't know if you ever.
She's older than I am, John. So.
John, I don't know if you saw her on Boardwalk Empire, but she's basically rocking that same look on that show too. It's a thing.
Yeah.
But,
I don't want to.
I don't know. I've not followed her career that closely, apparently, and here we are. But
I don't want to scare you, John, but like after you turn 40, shit starts to fall apart.
I mean, I thought it was. I'm okay with it. I'll be
Oh,
honest.
yeah, I didn't think it was falling
Well,
apart.
I was gonna say it didn't. Let me put it this way: the picture did not look like they were. They were. There was some enhancement.
Honestly,
is what I would
John,
say.
I was too busy looking at Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio to really notice that. So
I was too busy appreciating her for a fine actress, John.
Yeah,
I don't know. Like, maybe do you want to go through and critique all the women at the Golden Globes?
hashtag College John.
I just, honest to
Hashtag
God,
John too. Is that what?
everyone- it was? Someone posted, and it was like a Joey. It was like her and Joey King standing next to each other.
John was
like,
John was
wait,
like
hold on a
cartoon
second.
eyes going boy.
But not in a good way.
He did the Bugs Bunny like eye fly out thing.
Oh, God.
There it is. That's what I was looking for. Thank you,
Christ.
Joe.
I just had to ask. I
Joe.
knew you guys would have cared.
John, you want to go through and like maybe mention women you think have put on weight over the since last year's Golden Globes?
I'm actually over here googling Brad Pitt. I haven't seen him in a
Oh,
while, and
God. Just
Well, you're missing out.
apparently,
make sure
You haven't seen what's it? Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
no, I haven't seen it.
just
yet.
make sure you're sitting down.
Fucking phenomenal. And
Joe.
just make sure you don't have to stand up for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, exactly. Make sure you got your Schnar slacks on there. The sweatpants. give yourself a little breathing room. Somebody coined that on Slack. I think it was Fuji Billy calls them Schnar slacks now, which I'm pretty excited about.
I honest to God didn't know what he was talking about when he said Schnar slacks.
I
but
knew-
now I do.
I knew-
I get it and appreciate it. So.
I knew immediately what he meant, and I applauded it. Joe, please Twitter me.
Yeah, we've got some tweets. Not a ton though, which I'm actually surprised for a Rob Zombie joint. First one from our friend Adam. I should say we use the hashtag AskBGH. That's if you want to send in a question about the movie or just life in general and need to know things. Send it on in, and we'll answer it on the show. First up from at Lovely Dead Adam. That's our buddy Adam. He this caused a slight ruckus over the weekend on Slack. It's Gene Simmons posted a picture that he apparently puts ice cubes in his cereal.
Oh my God, so weird.
Yeah, Adam asked, does he flush the unused ice cereal down the toilet?
Ugh.
I don't know. Like I stance on the ice cubes in the cereal. I guess it's to keep the milk cold.
No, that's
but...
friggin' psycho. Just eat again, and this is my same problem with the flushing. Just eat the goddamn cereal and end it.
Yeah. Was the milk warm when it went
Right,
in? Like
like,
that's what I
Is he
understand.
milking it from a cow first?
Yeah.
Like,
Does he not refrigerate his milk?
He could be in Europe, right? Because I remember when I visited Germany.
Are you
like, they don't
suggesting he's
refrigerate their
drinking?
milk,
Are you
right?
suggesting he's
No, but
drinking
they definitely
Parmalat?
refrigerate the milk.
No, they definitely. There is milk
The
that the
eggs don't get refrigerated.
No, Joe. No. Joe's talking about Parmalat, which is a thing. It's like some sealed
yeah, okay.
milk substance.
Yeah, there is shelf stable milk. Yes, you're right. Okay, sorry.
All right, Duke boy.
I just wanted to say, Joe, I'm gonna apologize to you ahead of time for this, but somehow the cereal flushing thing came up over Christmas, and I explained it to my mom, and I swear to God, I wish I could have taken a picture of her face. It was like pure horror.
I've been trying to use our Instagram a lot more, and I posed the question of I had leftover was the cranberry sauce that had reached its peak of when we're comfortable still eating it. So I posed the question of should it go in the garbage disposal or down the toilet, and by a landslide, garbage disposal. But
Shocker.
God is
couple
my
toilet-
witness.
a
That's
couple
not where it ended, Eric.
Jesus Christ.
Well, all the sewer alligators are enjoying it right now.
Here's my thing, and we don't have to get back into this.
Except,
but
are you on city water, or do you have a? Because if you have like
I'm in the burbs.
a leach field or whatever, you better be careful what you're flushing on there, dude, because that's gonna cause you got to deal with that later. It's not like disappearing like you're on city water.
Like, is your stool softer than cereal? Like, are you saying that? Like,
Typically, yes.
Joe, it's the one thing that's solid that's supposed to go in there. That's the difference.
Yo, I do not want to get in this conversation or have Joe say the word stool ever again.
I think you need to maybe go see a doctor. Next up from Ben Warrington, that's at Ben Waro. You need to recreate a 3 from Hell with 3 horror movie characters, not actors. What dream team will create the most carnage? I'd go the Collector teamed with the Nightingale and Derek from Mayhem. Love from Ben.
Number 1 pick, Bucky, the power plant operator from Halloween 4. He's the only one.
He looks like he could be a Mosley relative, right? Like he's got that look about him.
Wait, is the Nightingale in his answer the movie The Nightingale, like the woman from that movie? Or is there someone else that I'm not thinking of?
Potentially, yeah, I assumed so.
Let's not besmirch a real movie with like crossing it over with a Rob Zombie.
It does seem
thing,
weird
okay?
to like throw her in there.
Well, and the Collector, that's a...
Yeah, I don't know. Anybody else want to toss in? We got Bucky, and we need 2 more.
I think it was Mary. Was it Mary on Slack who was saying that she was like the world's biggest The Collector fan?
I mean,
that's like with 3 other people.
Who knew?
It doesn't sound difficult to achieve. Like she's seen it twice. She gets the crown.
That sounds like Mary.
Oh God.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know if I have anyone else.
Just 3 Buckies. We can go with that.
Yeah. What about like Jigsaw when he was still alive?
Sure.
Know?
Bucky, Jigsaw, and
Per your post-cancer diagnosis, though.
Oh.
I don't know. Take your pick.
And let's throw in what the hell's his name from one of those Friday the 13th, the weird dancing one, Crispin Glover.
Oh yeah, that's Crispin Glover.
Yes.
Crispin Glover. Yes, thank you.
All right, there you go.
Not as a character, like just Crispin Glover, just dude walking around.
No, I think specifically Crispin Glover from that Friday the 13th. If you've seen it,
His dancing. Yeah. Next up from our good friend Drop Your Linen. What films are you most looking forward to seeing in 2020? Kinda generic question, I know, but I'm generally interested in the answer.
I'd have to see a list. Yeah, I generally don't know what I'm going to see until Schnars tells me like 2 days before.
Well, she also says, and at least it's not a poop question, which reminds me, what are your poop goals for 2020?
Keep doing it.
Keep doing it. Yes. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, the wife and I are getting back into keto now that the holidays are over. So yeah, just to go regularly.
I've been going strong in the probiotic game, so I'm actually killing it in that field right now.
Huh. Should maybe look into that.
I mean, on the keto, you definitely should, Joe. I think it might actually help your situation there.
Yeah.
Do we want to talk about movies? I will say you all seemed really excited about Gretel and Hansel.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be cool.
I haven't seen a trailer for it, but I take your excitement as a negative sign.
No,
and therefore
it's very schnarzy. I think you're thinking too much of Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters, which it is a masterpiece in its own right. This is a different thing. This is like art housey.
No, who did you say the director was?
It's a person that does a lot of Oz Perkins or something.
Oh, Oz Perkins.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Quiet Place 2 looks like it's could be good.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't watched a trailer actually. I just don't know that I can.
It's got what's his name from Peaky Blinders?
Yeah. It's Cillian Murphy.
Cillian Murphy. Have I ever told you? And I don't want to get off on this, but like our good friends took one of those 23andMe, and it turns out my buddy is related to Cillian Murphy, and they went over to Ireland and like stayed with his parents.
Yeah, it's like a very. That's really weird you say that because I worked with a dude who went to high school with him, and he's like. He said he was the most unassuming dude ever, and they their high school was like 40 people, and like everybody knows their family and the town they're from and stuff.
Yeah, they slept in.
He's Irish,
like,
John.
His bed, yeah. He apparently he
Thank
was
you.
supposed to be there, but he was out filming A Quiet Place too. So that's
Like,
why
how closely do you have to be related to someone on 23andMe to call them up and say, "Hey, I'm gonna"?
Yeah.
John, I just watched 60 Minutes. Apparently, this is happening all over the place. They just did a
I
story
get
on
emails.
this.
I did 23andMe legitimately 12 years ago. I still get emails. Hey, you have a new genetic relative. Never open emails.
John's flipping through the
Hard
stack.
to
It's like Finland, Sweden, Germany, Austria.
Yeah, I did mine, and it just like reinforced that I'm like extremely white, and that's pretty much what it said. Like, you're from the region of white. And
This
that's-
descendant changed his last name from Hitler in 1953.
I get emails just say we've confirmed you're even whiter than you
Yeah.
were last week.
All right, let's talk some other movies here.
Joe's
Brahms
closest
2,
relative,
I know
just Poland.
Eric is very excited about. Brahms 2 is the boy, or sorry, it's Brahms the Boy 2, excuse me.
Yeah. Oh, I gotta see what the hell they're gonna do with that. Like, especially after the ending of that first one. Holy moly! We didn't mention it yet, but we're talking about trying to do Underwater as long as we can. Most of us can see it, which is this Kristen Stewart like aliens looking underwater monster thing. I'm honestly, it's the thing that's in front of my face right now, but I'm kind of excited for it. It looks cool.
Yeah, it's kind of terrible.
Although it's got T.J. Miller, I'm not a big fan.
People have been there's been some positive buzz about Saint Maud, which I believe is the new A24 joint for the year. Promising Young Woman looked good. I don't know. There's actually some really nice stuff coming.
I'm kind of stoked for the New Mutants.
Yeah,
And-
we'll see. There's a lot of bad smoke around that though.
And
wish
it's
you
not a
would've
fair
said,
choice. It's not a fair choice, but I am excited because I've seen it twice already because of reasons. But I'm excited to see your guys' reaction to it. Is the color out of space?
The Nick Cage movie.
Yeah.
I wish you would have said John, and then there's Maud, and then sung the whole theme song. You guys remember the show Maud?
I do.
Yeah.
Joe, John
Your-
and I were not born in the 70s, so no.
Let's wrap this up. We got two more from our friend Skizbot. I hope everyone had a great Christmas or whatever else y'all celebrate. What was the best Christmas gift you ever received? One of mine was a HP Pavilion PC along with the X-Files PC game, which came on 7 CD-ROMs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, probably the year my family got a Nintendo, like 1988 or 9 or something like that.
I was going to give you the exact same answer. I still so distinctly remember getting the original NES and then setting it up with my dad in our like upstairs sunroom. It was
Also, the year we got the SNES was pretty sweet too.
Oh, are we talking old ones too? I would go. There was a year after. It's not a sad story, but just to set it up, it was after my parents divorced, and like the first Christmas after, my mom got me a Millennium Falcon, which I already had, but I'd lost all the pieces too, so I was quite excited. I'm like, oh shit, I got another one. And she's like, oh no, you already had it, and I'm like, it's all good, don't worry about it.
I would say the best gift I ever got was just a few years back when the wife and I agreed that we would never buy each other another gift, and we don't have to fucking deal with that bullshit anymore.
Oh wow, so romantic.
Well, is it though? I mean, like, we're a joint account. Like, you're pretty much just going out and buying each other gifts
You're
with
spending
your own money.
No, honestly, we haven't for a while, but we started again this year just because the kids are small and we want them to see us.
Colleen got me a pretty sweet pint glass this year that says "Merry Christmas, Shitter's Full" and has Uncle what's his cousin Eddie from Christmas Vacation.
Yeah, exactly, Eric. My romance is dead. Last but not least, from our good. Well, he writes in COW Flanagan. There was a recent controversy on the Twitter about how some folks don't wash their legs in the shower. Yo, it saves me 15 seconds to skip my lower half. Life hack. Thoughts? And it's a screenshot of the question: do you wash your legs in the shower?
2020, the year of discovering more people's more weird habit. Just wash your leg. I don't know. It's not that big a deal. It's worse to me when I hear people I've heard people say they don't wash their feet in the shower, and that's like a little horrifying to me. Because you got to just wash your feet. Like the soap running over the soap running over them is not enough. Okay.
No, I strongly agree with that.
Joe, I am very nervous about the face Joe has on right now.
I don't bother. when I run, like after a long run, I will wash my legs. But like in general, I wake up, take a shower. No, I don't bother.
Wait,
Yeah.
wait. Do you
I'm
wash...
like down to the knee level guy.
Yeah.
Joe, do you wash your feet though?
No.
No.
Like if you honestly think washing your feet and then like stepping in that filthy tub is doing anything for you, it's not.
Okay.
Like the moment you stop putting soap on there, your feet are just as dirty as they were like 2 seconds before.
That's not how dirty works.
It's 100% how dirty works there. Do you think like soap gives you some sort of like life force barrier that blocks germs for the next 48 hours?
Welcome
Plus, you're
to
standing in a puddle of it.
welcome to 2020, guys. Here we are.
You're soaking in it.
Honestly, like you guys sound like climate change deniers.
And there it is.
I use the soap. That makes me clean for the next 24 hours. Nothing can touch me.
Joe, by that logic though, you wouldn't clean anything. Because what does it mean? Like what you're positing is that it doesn't matter.
Eric,
You don't have to clean anything.
Just don't engage, Eric.
That's an insane.
I also don't put my feet in my mouth, Eric.
That's an insane argument. It makes no sense.
Eric, this is on you at this point. You have engaged, and I've told you not to.
Right.
So
you wash your feet in the shower. 2 seconds later, you step in a pile of shit. Are you telling me that your feet are still clean because you washed them?
Where are you showering?
No. Don't change the subject.
there's this huge fecal matter all over Joe's mouth.
All right. Anyway, next week. This is topical. Next week, underwater. Like your feet.
Oh, Christ.
I bet Kristen Stewart doesn't wash her feet.
Like your feet when you're in the shower underwater. We're gonna try to hit this up if we can get enough of us can get in theaters. Be our first theatrical run of 2020. Very exciting. Anyways, guys, we survived it. 3 from hell. It's finally over.
I'm very excited about what like anger this has already sparked on Slack.
Yep.
This whole washing your feet thing.
I see that random nonsense right now is lit up, like people are posting, but I can't see what it is, so we'll find out. All right, guys. That's going to do it. Hope you enjoyed the first show of 2020. Many more to come. Coming back at you next week.
See you.
So long.
Bye-bye.